Great musician, rest in peace, man. He brought us this Hosanna song. Good morning.
But what does the song mean?
We don't know.
Blazo, 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 so blazo, blazo.
But why do you want to fly?
We all know it's just sitting down and dancing for you.
Hey, why do I have so many haters?
We have seen you.
I trained Giovanni, in case you didn't know.
That explains it.
All right, let's move.
That explains it.
Matter hard pass.
The Searchlight this morning says the Daily Searchlight, the NPP running mate saga, Baumia confused, indecisive, stymied. And why are we giving licenses to mine in forest reserves? Nana Kumia is asking, well, better late than never, no? CRM is ready as Blue Ocean dispatches cylinders to exchange points. SITAG strike. SITAG strike is illegal. Return to the classroom for negotiations according to the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. Minister of Education awarded for transforming education. Aputo. The Anchor newspaper revealing the truth. Angry residents threaten demo against Newmont over community mining project. Dumso stalled ECG's debt collection exercise, manager reveals. And former workers of BCM Ghana to petition Raj over alleged injustice. It comes to the photo of Paul List. He's the CEO of BCM. An abandoned patient in the bush. Otiko recommends severe lashing of medical officers implicated. Says this nonsense must stop. Good morning to Reverend Lawrence Tete. Helen, what do you have?
All right, I have. He said they deserve what? Lashes.
Yes, I wish that, I'm sure that she's talking about paper lashing. But if I were there, would soak the cane in kerosene and lash them. 4 strong boys.
The Daily Statesman this morning has a very big picture of minority leader in the House of Parliament, Dr. Kesiel Atuforsen, and the story is as follows, or the headline is as follows: your appeal holds no water. Court of Appeal throws out Atuforsen. Ghana secures a seat on Shelter Afrique Development Bank Board. Minister calls for robust African transport system. CTAG strike described as illegal.
Michael?
Okay, on Daybreak newspaper, Zoom Lion Foundation kickstarts Keep Your Mind on the Road campaign. Let's serve with sacrifice. Baumia urges Muslims to be inspired by Abraham's example. CRM ready as Blue Ocean dispatch cylinders to exchange points. Winneba trauma Hospital justify cruelty claim abandoned patient was declared well and discharged. Do we have that update already?
No.
Okay, let me just read it.
I know that the Minister for Health wrote and gave them an ultimatum. The Ghana Health Service also has written, they set up a committee to investigate. That's all I know.
Okay, let me just read portions of it. Now, the medical director of Trauma and Specialist Hospital, Winneba, Dr. George Kwame, has issued an incident report on the alleged abandonment of a patient in the bush by the hospital. According to Dr. George Kwame, the patient was an unknown person knocked down by an unknown driver through a hit and run on May 29 in Goma Ojobi community, after which the National Ambulance Service called the social welfare officer of the hospital to inquire whether they are ready to receive the patient. In his incident report, the medical director said the patient was received and treated well with care and empathy, although there was no family to cater for the bills. After the necessary examinations were done, plaster of Paris was cast on both lower limbs of the patient due to the fracture of the tibia bones. The hospital was, as usual, took absolute responsibility for feeding, medication, and housekeeping of the patient. The patient had been on admission for 6 days and finally discharged on the 3rd of June 2024 after being declared well. The medical report is tendered in as evidence, portions of his report highlighted. Dr. George Kwame continued that from interactions between the social welfare officer and the patient, it was established that the patient was a resident of Goma Ojobi community, a fact which the National Ambulance confirmed the location of the pickup. He stressed that the patient, after gaining some strength, wished to be sent back to where she was picked up. He added that the social welfare officer then reached to a consensus to send her back to her community, Goma Ojobi. Goes on and on and on. So how did
it doesn't make sense. All of this, it wanted patient who is not in the right frame of mind is not the one dictating where she has to be taken, and we say it's okay, everything is fine. It doesn't make sense. I think that sometimes we ought to be very careful. And it happened to this lady. It could happen to any one of us. Any one of us at the time when we were most vulnerable. We could be dealt this sad blow at any point in time, to the point where they even confirmed that, okay, yes, it's true. We said they should take, because we're hearing the narratives that, okay, the woman was disturbing, It's a hospital. It's not a bank, right? So if the person is in pain, the person would obviously cry out. If the person has trauma, she would express it. You cannot conceal it and compress it and assume that everything is okay. So what did they mean when they said the woman was making noise and that she had to be sent away? Did it make sense? The person is at her lowest and she had come to you for help, and you are per your training, you are taught how to treat people who are in those situations. So how did we come back to say she was making noise, so send her away? I don't get the headache. I hope that the investigations don't linger too much, and I hope that they come with a very definite, punishment system for whoever. I really, really do hope.
I've been very perplexed by this whole ordeal with this old lady who was sent in the bush. But could there have not been some efforts to actually locate the family? Maybe go to the newspapers, sound the alarm. Whose grandmother is this? We have so many benevolent Ghanaians. All you have to do is sound the alarm, and somebody will be willing to make some kind of donation to sustain this lady in the hospital. I don't really know why that was the only resort, to go and put her in this location. Somebody who clearly is traumatized, doesn't know what she's. It blows my mind. I still cannot believe that this story is true. I've been watching on, waiting to get some more clarification. But if this is all the clarification that we're getting, let me tell you, heads must roll.
And then
Indeed.
The hospital's PR doesn't seem to wash, because who were you going to give the patient to?
In the bush. So it sounds pretty much like the man who lost his wife. You remember the ambulance saga, the Fijai hospital, the man who lost.
Yes.
I mean, you how do you leave the Western region, right? Leave Ifian Kwanta, leave Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, and you're coming all the way to Accra. I mean, And then in addition, we say we're demanding for money for fuel. And then the man's wife is dead. And that's it. I'm saying that it could happen to any one of us, to the extent that we don't have the visas and the passport to go and pick up and say, oh, today I feel that, I don't feel too well, so I'm traveling to South Africa or traveling to Canada or someplace to go and seek medical help like our big men and women do. We all need to focus on the quality of the health delivery that we are being served in this country. I know that there are very good doctors and there are very good nurses and paramedics, but there are also some very bad ones, right? Some very, very bad ones who have no sympathy, have no empathy. Some of them who got into the job not because they wanted to save lives. They got there because they were hungry. They didn't have work to do. Sadly. So they thought that, well, let me go and teach. Let me go and become a nurse. And that's it. That's why they are there. So sometimes out of anger and frustration, they actually even said that they say it in front of you to the patients that you are disturbing. You're worrying me. And I said, but you are supposed to be the one who's supposed to be comforting me. You are supposed to be the one supposed to be empathizing with me. And you have no shred of empathy and sympathy in you.
Johnny, wow. I've interacted with some male nurses and they tell me that there are times that in the middle of work, especially the emotional part of the work that they do, you put in all your best and then you lose a patient. It can be very traumatic and heavy on them. This male nurse even told me that there are times that he would go to the washroom and break down and cry just to let off some steam. Now, imagine how emotional or traumatic this job can be, more so on someone who has no interest or business whatsoever being in the profession. You can imagine how terrible it will be, especially as a ripple effect on patients. And Johnny, my problem really, even beyond this, is the quality of customer service in this country. And it's
even across the board.
Across the board. And you see, it's so bad that it even spills over into the health space.
That is true.
And it's terrible. You see, I am paying you for a service and yet it seems like you are doing me a favor.
Yes.
Like there was a time I went to a shop to buy something. The guy told me he's closed, so he can't attend to me.
They don't want money.
It doesn't make sense. And you see, this is the country that we live in. And until we address these things.
A nurse friend sent me this. Says, patient who had accident and was in POP. Just 6 days post-admission, you discharge her. Why didn't you contact the police, a community chief, church elders, etc.?
So many
As for this story, dear, not even a baby will give this explanation. Sometimes families don't take liabilities. I have seen cases where they discharge and the family will never take the person home unless you force it on them. In some cases, you have to plan a car and play, right? But this is a totally different matter. So this is a nurse telling you that sometimes, the person is done. They have discharged the person, but the families don't want to come and pick the person home. And we hear a lot of that, people go to the hospitals and say, oh.
At least in this case, we know the families.
We know the families.
But this one, we don't.
We don't.
It can't be the same.
So somebody is in plaster of Paris, right, POP, 6 days, admission, and then you say, oh, the person had. So what kind of assessment had been done? All right, because before you are discharged home with a POP, you should have healed up to a point. Wearing POP means that you broke a bone.
Which is stated in the
So if you broke a bone, the bone you don't need to put a lot of pressure on it. You need to be well rested so that at least the healing process starts. It gets some place 50-60%, and then you can be discharged so that you can be coming for review. All right. 6 days, I doubt any bone of an old woman would have healed. I'm not a medical practitioner, but this is just common sense. It doesn't make sense.
What about reaching out even to the member of parliament in that area? Surely the MP is not going to watch on and allow this lady to just be left to her own. So many quarters that could have been. They could have
been more proactive.
I don't understand.
They could have been more proactive.
All. But about the customer service across the board, definitely something that I often think about. Just even as a people, I think we are just tired, lethargic. We I don't know. I just don't get it.
Anyway, That's where we find ourselves. It's unfortunate, very, very unfortunate if you ask me. But we have some lovely people watching us on our Facebook stream, right? Blessed Son is watching us. Freeman Avonio is watching us. Capsule Gerald says, "Good morning, my people." And somebody is also went from Doma. I can see all the comments. Anjadole says, "Good morning, Sunrise. Good morning. Our hospitals are staffed with insensitive humans. Most of the healthcare workers these days in our hospitals and some pharmacies I know of are very insensitive. You should hear how they talk down harshly to patients. Customer service is non-existent in this country. It does not exist, simply. And simply put, that's it. If you have felt it before, you know what Antedoli is describing and what I'm describing. There have been instances where one of our senior staff here, his mother had an issue. They took the mother to Rage Hospital, Accra Regional Hospital. They drew her blood, and then they gave the blood to them, right? They, the non-medical people, they gave the blood to them to take to the lab. Now, you know that blood clots, if it stays.
Yeah.
So, if assuming that they didn't know that they had to be shaking it while going, right? And they held it. By the time they get there, the blood would have clot. It would not be fit for purpose. Meanwhile, this woman is anemic.
So you can't keep on then taking blood,
because then
like
you'll
that.
be killing her. That's the first point to note. The second point is that she said a doctor was attending to this old woman, and the old woman's leg kept swelling, and then he said, "Oh, you have been discharged." So they didn't understand. So another doctor came to do an assessment. Said, "No, this woman cannot be discharged." And then after 2 days, everything goes down, and then the doctor says, "Okay, now you can go." Sometimes I hate it when we lump all of them up together. As I said, there's some very good nurses and there's some very bad, terrible nurses. There are those who even go out of their way to use their pocket money to buy food for people, and help with medication.
They can even top up your medication.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There are those who do that, and nobody pays them for that. There are people who run overtime and say that, "Look, I'm supposed to close at 2 p.m., but there's nobody here. I'll stay with you." There are those who at 2 p.m. they're done.
1:55. They are wearing their coats.
They have shaded. They have dressed up. They are going. So we need to have that holistic national conversation. We need to have it, because if you get in there to say, "I want to be a nurse," and then you are doing everything opposite the dictates or the ethics of the profession that you have signed onto, you have no place in there.
You see, this is why we must begin to review a lot of things. For instance, the criteria to get in there to become a medical practitioner. We have to begin to check people and check the state of their minds even before they enter. Because if it is just about grades and about getting admission,
But Mike, we don't have that luxury. Look at the patient-to-doctor ratio. If we say we are going to screen and even cut down those who are already there, we'll have no doctors.
One good nurse is better than 10 bad nurses.
I agree.
Yes, one good nurse is better than 10 bad nurses. And there are people who are taking to the villages, they're giving health posts, just sometimes maybe 2 nurses, and a supervisor, and they deliver excellently. I mean, you can't be here in Accra or in any major town like Winneba or something, have all the facilities and still mess up in this way. It doesn't make sense. Capsules, Gerald says, "See, people are in all sort of professions, not because they have the love for their job. They just want survival. Most especially those in security services and in nursing schools. They want to cash out keke. It's sad." Gabriel Gabi Dodoy says, "Good morning from this side." Okay, Gabi, which side is that? And Samuel Evans Ota says, "This type of wickedness is being cultivated by Akufo-Addo. It takes delight in killing a Medri." Oh, Charlie,
please.
my brother. Yalim Harum says, "Please, Johnny, answer me. I have information for your listening viewer." Okay, put the information here. We will read it together. Yaro Hakim Shishi says, "Good morning, Johnny. Watching you live from Ashaiman." Okay, Ashaiman, which part? Is Ashaiman Jerusalem or Ashaiman New York? Kosigan Ekulu says, "I'm watching you live from Lomé in Togo." Hey, mon ami.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Ça va?
King Joseph Nitan says, "Johnny, please, where is Sixtus Don Ulo. He spells Sixtus' name in a very important. Well, Sixtus is on a short break. He will come back. Karma says, good morning, I'm Emmanuel Anankwari, watching live from Navrongo. Okay, please, Aligibam is still at post.
Aligibam, at the end of the day, forgive him award.
Isaac Edusei says, good morning, my people, you're doing a great job. Yalim Harun says, patients are crying because I came earlier, staying too late and paying not even medications, but transportation. And then a quarter, Johnnie, can you get Dr. Indum to your studio, please? We're working on that. Citizen Dex Montieri is watching from the UK. Stephen Abiemo says the whole country is a crime scene. And somebody's also watching from Denmark. Keep the good work. That's Bright Mensa watching us all the way from Denmark. Okay. We'll have to take a break at this point. But the education minister has been honored for transforming education in Ghana.
By whom?
I said Aputo. And by who we'll find out very soon, because it looks like then we are awarding or rewarding mediocrity. Where are the textbooks for the children? The last time the education minister spoke, he said that we're going to paint our schools blue and white. So you better add red to it so that we know the flag. Well, Dr. Yawase Duchum, Minister for Education, has received recognition from SDEV Foundation Africa and Accra Technical University for its exceptional leadership and revolutionary impact on Ghana's educational environment. In a citation delivered to the minister, the foundation honored him for his innovative leadership that has substantially expanded STEM education, fostering a new generation of innovators.